And then after the workshop, after the class, I was so frustrated with myself because it was so good. And I didn't have a replay to send out. I tried to create one with just me talking to the screen about what I had talked about, but it just never comes out like it does when you're working with people, talking with people, engaging with people. It's just not the same experience at
Yeah,
all.
it's different for sure.
For sure. So, Liana, are you able to unmute and tell us where you're from or show your face? If not, you can drop it in the chat. Maybe, maybe not. Mm. Hope we get some people that are willing to show their screen or are able to. And so we have a demo. Okay, here's another person gonna join us. It's always so fun to do these. You get to like actually sometimes meet some people that have been new or been in your world for a while and sometimes even put a face to a name. It's like, is it Dove? Welcome. And Dove, if you're able to turn on your camera, of course, I always appreciate seeing real faces if anyone can. And if you just joined us, drop in the chat where you're listening in from, where you're joining us from. I think we have a couple Canadians in the house so far. Dove says Ohio. Hey, awesome. Um, we'll give it about one more minute, see if anyone else is going to join us. Yay, Dove put her screen on. Thank you, Dove. Now I'm not just talking to myself. I know, Michelle, I'm not really just talking to myself because she was at least talking out loud, but sometimes it does feel like you're just talking to yourself and you're like, I mean, I know I'm a little crazy. I do talk to myself actually, ironically, a lot at home. My husband's always like, what did you say? I'm like, no, I'm not talking to you. And he's like, well, okay, but you were just having a full on conversation. I'm like, I know. He's like, should I be worried? I'm like, no, it's normal. You don't talk to yourself? Don't we all talk to ourselves out loud? It's like how I process things. Thank you, Dove, for shaking your head. And I don't feel quite as crazy. Um, so go ahead, actually, if you guys don't mind, either in the chat or unmute, like Michelle, if you're driving. I'd love to also know how you like identify, like not in meaning like a she, her, they, them type of deal, but like as a yoga teacher, as a therapist, as a coach, as an energy healer. Um,
Yoga teacher.
Yoga teacher, Michelle. Awesome. Love it. And you could be more than one of those things too, just trying to get an idea of who's in the class today.
I'm currently in massage therapy school. I'm transitioning. I am a tool and die maker, and I have a lot of plans. I do energy work, and I do a lot of different things. So trying to get out of the factory. And
I love that. And I'm so excited that you still joined us, even from the factory. I love that. Amazing. And maybe, Dove, you might be my model at this point because I need someone hopefully on screen. Although you don't have to really be on screen to do this. It just makes it a little easier. Well, let's get started. Okay, we'll get started. And if other people join us while we're started, that's totally fine. Like I mentioned, I think Michelle was the first one on when I was talking about it. I've noticed usually about half the amount of people that sign up show up, which is fine. Whoever's meant to be here, I always say, is who's the right crowd for the day. I am proud of myself. Yay to hitting record. Let's double check. Yes, I did. Okay. Like I said, I did this, I think, a week ago, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, and I totally forgot to hit record. And so there was no real replay afterwards. And I had a few people today message me about that. So I was like, big notes right next to my computer here on my notepad that says hit record. Usually my notes are like things I want to make sure I talk about. Today it was just like hit record. So we're going to start with just a little breath exercise. And somatic work, in my mind, is not just breath work. So let me just start that off because I do get a fair amount of inquiries about my program. And they're like, well, how long is your breath work program? And I'm like, it's not just breath work. It is a piece of it, but it is not the entire piece of it. So I just want to say that loud and clear because breath work is powerful and amazing, and it's a piece of this work, but it is not, to me, it's just one wedge, one of the tools in somatic work. However, I don't know about you guys, when you do like a master class or a training, or if you're leading a class, I sometimes get a little nervous. I've been doing this for like 25 years and I still get a little nervous. I do not get nervous anymore when I teach a yoga class. Thank God it's only taken like a decade. But these, even though I'm in front of a screen, I guess it's new people that don't know me, I get a little nervous. So I know I can benefit from it. So maybe you hopefully all can benefit from this too. Talia, good afternoon. Glad you could join us. So we're going to start with a little breath work pumping. Okay. So all you're going to do, and of course, Michelle, be careful as you're driving. Do not do the arm part.
Okay.
We are not looking for any accidents here, people, please. Okay. So it's going to be arms high, breathe in, open fingers. I just realized you probably can't see my fingers, but that's okay. And then as you exhale, you're going to wrap your fingers around your thumb and pump. So I'll show you first. It looks like this. Okay. And we're going to pick up the pace. We're going to do about 30 pumps. And at the end of the 30th pump, around ish, you're going to just hold the exhale out of the body. And we're just going to be still. You can let your eyes close if you want, except for Michelle. She cannot drive with her eyes closed. Not suggested. And you're just going to be. You're going to relax as much as you can. Now, I think really important with breath work, pranayama, is that we're not forcing, right? We're not like, you're not like getting to the point where you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna pass out and you're shaking and all that stuff. I'm not all about that, okay? A little uncomfortable is good, but if you feel like you're suffocating yourself, that's not what this is about, then take a sip of breath in, please take care of yourself. All right, so we're gonna do 3 rounds and then we'll dive a little bit more into the content. And then I'll do actually a live demo on what a somatic journey can look like. And that's really the heart of a lot of the work I teach. So I want you guys to get a feeling for that and maybe even have a few, oh, cool aha moments. Because this was my first experience with this work. And to me, it was like, wow, mind blowing in a lot of ways. And it's part of what made me fall in love with it. And I really hope you guys will fall in love with it if you haven't already, as much as I have, and then share it. All right, so let's start with the breath work. If you can, plant your feet on the ground, sit up tall. I usually like to close my eyes, but I'll try to keep my eyes open for you guys. So you're going to inhale, arms up, fingers open, and then exhale, pump. Snapping the belly in, all through the nose. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Drop the hands on your lap, palms open. Let the shoulders relax, jaw relax, and just be here with the breath out of the body for a moment. Okay, take a breath in, pull up from the perineum, the pelvic floors from Uddiyana Bandha, Mula Bandha, Jara Bandha, the chin lock. And if you're not familiar with them, no worries. They're locks, they're energetic locks in the body. Now you're holding the breath in, pulling it all in, creating like a capsule of energy. And then exhale, lift the chin. All right, next round. Lift the arms, inhale. And then exhale, go. Exhale, drop the hands. Just be without anything in the body. Relax, soft. Observe and notice. And then deep breath in. Go ahead and pull up from the bandhas, from the very root chakra to the middle, right around the throat. Chin drops down. Pull it in and up, hollowing out the diaphragm. And exhale, shoulders soften, head lifts. All right, last round, guys. Fastest one yet. Arms high, inhale. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, drop the arms, hold it out. Press down through the feet. Soften the shoulders, soften the jaw. Keep your focus right through the third eye. Take a breath in. Lift up from Uddiyana Mula and Jara Bandha. Pull it in. Exhale it out. Whew, just be there for a moment. Notice the energetic body. Notice if maybe the mind chatter got just a bit quieter. Start to tap into the physical body. Just notice any sensations that may be arising. That is a very energizing breath, so it tends to sometimes stimulate sensation. And when you're ready, you can let your eyes blink open and you can join me back here, back on the planet, right? So that's what we call this, right? Some form of some planet. All right. Talia, if you can turn on your screen, I'd love to see your beautiful face. If not, no worries. All right, guys. So why are you here? Yay. Hi, Talia. Why are you here, guys? Here to learn something new, I'm hoping, right? My promise is that you'll have some perspective shifts today, that maybe you'll learn something new. Maybe you'll be inspired. And my deepest hope is, like I mentioned before, is that this will spark a desire for you to want to dive deeper into this work, both for yourself, because I think we go first, and then also for your communities, for your clients, for the people that you surround yourself with. If you're new to my world, which most of you are, so that's kind of fun and exciting. Usually I have a couple old clients that pop on, and even some people sometimes that are in my program, but today, I guess no one was around. So fun for me. I've been doing this work for a little over 25 years. I went to school to be a psychotherapist. I did do that for several years, got really burnt out, stumbled into a yoga class because I was told that Madonna was doing yoga. Back then, I was about 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And all I wanted, because I was about 24 years old, 23 years old. Is that right? Is that math right? Probably about right. Is I wanted to lose weight back then, in all truthfulness. That was one of my main goals. But I found so much more, as I'm sure some of you have too. And then it was about a decade ago, I was at a Sean Korn. If any of you are familiar with Sean Korn, she's an amazing yoga teacher, social activist. I was at a teacher training she was leading. She did that every once in a blue moon back in the day, and got lucky enough to be in one of those with her. I mentioned to her a trauma I had as a baby, a bunch of surgeries I had, and she suggested I go see a somatic therapist. I had never heard of this before. It was like, what is that? I literally, back then, wasn't as like confident as I am now. I literally went back to my hotel room and was like, what is a somatic therapist? Of course, in front of her face, I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And then I went back to my room and I was like, what is a somatic therapist? I'm like, oh, that sounds actually kind of cool. So I went kind of down into a deep dive. And again, this is about a decade ago. It wasn't quite as popular as it is now. And I started doing my research. Ironically, had a really hard time finding someone. And so I started doing my own learning, wanting to learn more about what is this work. Eventually did stumble upon someone, had some pretty amazing breakthroughs, and ended up in a certification program to learn more about it. And that's kind of what sparked it all. And it's just been kind of a very cool journey along the last decade or so, just working with lots of people. And then a couple years ago, about 4 years ago, I guess it was during COVID, 5 years ago, I thought, I'm going to start incorporating how I can bring my take on this to people, combining things like pranayama, because the facilitator program I went through was really geared more towards therapists. So bringing more of the yoga side to the somatic psychology side and kind of meshing them together. So I'm not new to this game. I still do also see clients one-on-one. I still do have an active practice. I also have a brick and mortar. I do have my own yoga studio. So I like to be really busy. I like to be with people, and I like to be around people that are also interested in this type of work. Part of the reason I do this. Let's see. I'm going to guess there's two main reasons most of you showed up today. One, you're obviously interested in learning more about somatic work, or else you probably wouldn't be here, correct? Number two, either you're looking to add this to your toolbox because you're wanting to kind of like make yourself maybe a little bit more unique, stand out a little bit more in the world of the healing world, right? Because it's a huge industry now, right? Which is amazing. And it can feel sometimes like if we don't have like this real niche, that's going to be harder to make a place for ourselves. And then I'm going to guess some of you that maybe showed up today because clients come and maybe you feel stuck with them, like you can only go so far and you want to go deeper. Some of people tell me that they want to have more confidence when it comes to being able to navigate the trauma side of this work. Hello, Nicole. And that is my hope, whether it's something where you want to be able to bring this work in to current clients, this is work you want to step into, right? You want more confidence when it comes to working with people that have challenging situations. My hope is that you'll get all of that, okay? So let me tell you, just so maybe you guys can just self-identify a little bit for a moment about a client of mine. Really incredible. Her name was Sherry. I think I even shared a testimonial about her just the other day on social. And she showed up. She is a health coach, had lots of knowledge when it came to helping people pick healthier foods, how to balance their hormones. But if people came to her with emotional stuff, she like froze, right? She was like, oh, I don't know what to do. And she was not just like, I don't know what to do, but she would then pass them off to other people. So she found herself referring more people than she did actually seeing people herself. And when we started working together, she was very hesitant to even speak up. Now, as the process went on, as she started practicing these tools on herself, she gained incredible confidence because that's what they do for you. But the cool part is anyone who knows if a client is coming to you for weight loss, it's almost never really about food. Right, guys? There's always other stuff going on. And so she found that she could finally help them navigate what was underneath the surface, and she didn't have to refer out anymore. So it's just kind of the cool things that this work allows you to do. I always say that doing this work, the goal for me, for everyone, is not that they would just take something I do and copy it, but mesh it with what you already have. I think Dove said that she's an energy healer, right? Like, how can you mesh that together? I know Talia and I spoke the other day, and she was talking about the amazing work she does with, remind me again, Talia, I think it was people, was it that?
Elderly people, mixed ability people.
Yes, yes. Like, how can we bring what we're doing and really infuse this work to deepen their experience with us and what's capable for their lives, whatever it may be? And that's my hope. I mean, one of my clients, when she came in, she was working as a corporate accountant. Oh my goodness, working like not 9 to 5, guys, like 8 to 6. And then she'd go teach a yoga class and then finally get home. And all she wanted to do was to bring more healing work to people. Did not want to be crunching numbers. She happened to be good at it. And she was terrified to leave her day job. But the cool part is that once she started to immerse herself in this and gain the confidence and the skills, is that one of her clients actually in her yoga class came in super anxious. And we're going to talk about actually one of the mistakes people are doing, but she didn't make that mistake because she had been in the program, matched her client's energy, and her client felt so safe with her. She started to open up with her. And then she took Amy through a lot of this somatic work, the somatic journey. And Amy ended up loving the work so much that she referred 3 of her friends. One of those friends referred a friend, and she was actually able to leave her accounting job like 6 months later. I'm not going to say that's for everyone, but that's literally what's possible because people get such massive transformations with this work that they do refer out. They do tell their friends. It's purely how I would say the first several years, probably the first 10 years that I started doing this work, it was before I even really knew what social media was. So I want you to know that if you're like, I'm not a social media person, you can build a business doing this stuff, guys, without that crap. Not that I do use it now, so I'm not saying I do appreciate it, but it's not the only way. So let's just start by helping you identify where you are right now. Okay. So I tend to see 4 stages that most of us go through as healers. Okay. Number 1, it is the hesitant helper. This person tends to feel anxious when a student comes up to them and starts talking about their pain, their trauma, what's going on in their life. They know how to teach yoga, or maybe they have a skill set in psychology, right? Like I get a lot of therapists, but they don't have that connection yet between the mind and the body. A lot of the times they'll have one or the other, okay? A lot of times, if you're in that hesitant helper phase, you might have a lot of theories that you know about, but you haven't really navigated how do I apply these theories? Like, what do I do with all this understanding in this learning? They often are questioning and asking themselves, am I even making a difference? So if you identify right now as the hesitant helper, this is a shame-free space, FYI. That's a big part of my work. No shame. I was in this space for many years. Not gonna lie, many, many years. But then I moved into the next phase, which is the knowledge seeker. Now, I can't tell you, I think I still fall back into this phase at times. And again, none of these are good or bad. It's just like, where am I right now, right? So we know where we're going. This is someone who's actively studying, maybe reading a lot right now about different nervous system somatic principles, okay? Starting to understand that and knows there is a mind-body connection, has even felt it themselves. They're building foundational tools, but when it comes to applying it all, very wobbly. Excited about the new possibilities, but not yet confident in their execution. If you are the knowledge seeker, boom. That's you. I'm not going to make anyone raise their hand. Don't worry. You don't have to say, hey, that's me. Okay. Then there is the emerging expert. This is where I would say we want to start to step into, we want to work towards this phase. This is the person that's successfully applying somatic techniques with their clients, okay? They're seeing positive results, whether it be one-on-one or in group settings with students. They are growing their confidence and are really being able to handle lots of different situations, okay? They're starting to develop their own unique style, and they're beginning to just really attract people that are like, ooh, I want to work with you. So how many of you are like, yeah, I want to be the emerging expert? I know that was me for a really long time. I was like, I want to be the emerging. And then when I finally was there, I don't even know if I knew it. Yes, Emily, thank you. Okay, the last one, right? So Dove, thank you, amazing. Yes, please engage with me, guys, so I don't think I'm just talking to a screen. I hate that. So the last one, so often people think that's it, the emerging expert, but there's actually a fourth stage, which is where I want all of you to be, okay? And that's the trusted guide. The trusted guide is confidently handles complex trauma, really literally anything that comes your way, you can help support someone with. There's no referring out anymore, unless you're too busy and you know, don't have any more time. That's a totally different situation, right? Has developed deep intuition about what their students need, right? Like they're just with their student and they're like, they can kind of start to sense it. Regularly receives referrals from other professionals and creates transformative experiences for their clients. Hi, Heidi. They feel fulfilled knowing that they can help anyone and they're seen as a leader in their community. Now, how many of you don't have to, don't worry, Dove, I appreciate your comment. I'm glad you're still here and listening, even if you have to be working. I think that's amazing. It shows to me like just, I can't even tell you how incredible I think that is. How many of you want to be the trusted guide? You can give me a thumb up. You can give me a yes. Thank you, Talia, thumb up. Emily says thumbs up. Gosh, all of us should want to be the trusted guide, ladies. Yes, Sherry. Okay, amazing. Yes, Eliana. Okay, we're getting some engagement now. All right, awesome. So let's go in to, there are 3 pillars when we're talking about somatic work, at least my style, okay? Again, this is where the school of thought I come from. Go to someone else, they might tell you different, nothing wrong with that. But the 3 main pillars are witnessing, tools, and when I say tools, that includes breath work, sound, movement, okay? Those are tools. And then there's the 3rd phase, which is called integration. Now, I find that often people feel confident in their ability to witness, or they feel confident, some confidence in their tools, or they have confidence in the integration phase. But rarely do I find people that feel like all 3, okay? And then some people have just are like, I don't even know about any of these. And that's okay. Wherever you are, again, I just want you guys to have some awareness is very powerful of where am I at. So witnessing is so powerful. And it is probably one of the most powerful things we can do for another human. And I'm not going to go into it today because that would take me forever. And it is a huge section in the course that I take you guys through of how to really truly witness someone and not hijack space. But the ability to witness someone is a true honor and gift. I just want to say that. The second, the tools, are magical, right? Being able to know which breathwork technique is going to likely help your client is just, it's seriously like magic. Now, with that being said, no two people are the same. So what works really well with one person may or may not work for another person. So some of it's experiential, but knowing like, okay, this technique has been around for thousands of years because all the pranayamas I use are Eastern approaches for the most part. They're not Western. They're all nostril breathing. They all come from yogic tradition. That we know that certain breathing pranayams help with, say, a very stimulated nervous system, and some actually stimulate the nervous system. So knowing which one to prescribe can feel really powerful and make you feel more confident as a healer. And then, of course, there's movement and sound when it comes to our tools, and being able to be playful and use those can have a really incredible impact on your clients and yourself. That last phase is called that integration phase. That's the part I find, especially my yoga teachers, my energy healers, even some of my coaches are very wobbly because it's not generally taught in your traditional 200-hour trainings. It's not taught even honestly in a lot of coach trainings. And that's really how to take what comes up with someone, for example, if you're doing a breath exercise, and actually process it. All right. So these are the three pieces that I know you need when you're taking someone through a somatic session, a somatic experience. All right, let's go over real quickly the big mistake that I see happening in I'm going to say the healing industry. Okay, I'm going to put us all together in a collective for a moment. And I don't think it's happening intentionally. So if you're doing this, please do not go beat yourself up. I was doing this myself as a therapist. I didn't know better, and we don't know better sometimes until someone points something out. Okay, and it's that we are actually shaming our clients. We don't mean to do it, okay? But what happens is we enter a session with theories, right? With philosophies we've been taught. Look, I had so many I had to learn in graduate school. So I would show up and a client shows up talking about, let's say, their addiction. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a control issue. Well, we come in with our own interpretations, and that hijacks the client's experience. So just notice for yourself, are you coming into your sessions with clients, group classes, with theories and philosophies? Okay, because the somatic work is going to ask you to put it all to the side and instead trust your client, trust their body, trust their experience, and believe in them fully. That, I would say, is one of the biggest mistakes I see happening. And I think school, and hey, I've invested a ridiculous amount of money in my schooling over the years. So if you're like me, it's not that they're doing it intentionally, right? The intention is good. But I think we just need to be mindful of how we come into a space. Are we coming from a place of, I want to help fix this person? Because if we are, that's already from a shame perspective. That's coming from the perspective that this person is broken and they need to be fixed. Versus, okay, this person, parts of them have been ignored, dismissed, maybe even silenced. And so when we help bring light to them, we can help them integrate those pieces, pain, a lot of the suffering, a lot of the struggles. Then when it's integrated, it tends to, I don't know if you want to say heal, but we tend to be able to transform and move forward. So does that make sense? I hope so. we want to come in very almost with a blank slate of, I just want to understand you. People don't need fixing. They aren't broken. Okay. So we want to stop perpetuating that shame mindset. Yes. Thank you, Dove. Love it. Yes. Okay. I'm going to give you one more mistake because I like to over deliver and I don't want anyone making these mistakes, especially if you're not even aware you're doing it, because I was not aware I was doing it, is people aren't matching the energy that their clients show up with. So let me give you an example of my client. She came in and she was so anxious. I mean, like, I wrote it down so I could share it with you. Okay. So I said, where did I say it? Okay. Emma, 42 years old. She's a marketing executive. She rushes into our session 10 minutes late. She's clutching her phone, apologizing profusely. Her shoulders are like this up to her ears. Her jaw is clenched. And she speaks like almost like she can't even catch her breath. Now, what in the past I would have done before I learned this work is I would have been like, Emma, just sit down, take a deep breath. Let's calm down. Do you guys notice that there's shame in that? Her being excited, a little bit anxious is wrong. It's not wrong. That's her current experience. So I need to match her energy, not try to make her be different than the way she is. Now, she does need a little more centering, but if I just try to get her to sit down and meditate, her brain is going to go, and it's going to probably make her feel even crazier. So instead, one thing I might suggest is, okay, Emma, put your stuff down. Let's run in place. High knees, get them up, get them up. Or I might do the breath we did in the beginning, right? Because that's matching her energetic state. Really, really important. Otherwise, sometimes clients will either, they won't consciously necessarily feel shamed, but we will be shaming them. We will be missing the mark to create true safety with them, which does not feed for great vulnerability and a safe space. How are we doing so far? Any questions? Nothing yet. Okay. So we have about 20 minutes and I promised a demo. So I want to take one of you through what I call a somatic journey. It's one of the tools I use. You could say it's a process. We did this on the last live call and it was awesome. So you don't have to be on screen. It does help, but is anyone willing to either turn on their screen or at least turn on their camera and be my demoer? Sherry says open. Sherry, does that mean you're volunteering? Did I just volunteer you? Yes, awesome. Okay, Sherry. Is it possible to turn on your screen? If not, it's not a problem. We can do it without. Yay! Hi, I see a face. Can you unmute for me, Sherry?
Well, that's helpful. I gave you fingers, no words.
That's okay. I saw your fingers, so I was like, I think we're communicating at this point. Thank you so much, Sherry. Okay, so I am gonna ask everyone who's in this room right now, anybody who ever watches this replay, to know that I want to be a safe space for everyone. So whatever is shared, it doesn't really leave this space. This is, will give hopefully Sherry a space to work through whatever is showing up for her. Okay. So Sherry, tell me about either a challenge, a pain, something you're navigating right now in life.
Okay.
It can be physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, relationship wise, it does not matter. I want you guys to see that it doesn't matter. This stuff works with anything and everything.
Okay. So I'll try to keep it simple and just kind of go with like more of a state. I feel like oh, someone's trying to call me. I just want to make sure that's not important.
Absolutely.
Anyways, let me just double check. Why are they calling me? The only reason why I'm going to overshare this is because my benefits run out today, and I just got a prescription. I just want to make sure. Anyways, so here I
No
am.
worries.
um, yeah. So I feel like I'm ending like a 15-year chapter, and I can feel deeply. And I've done a lot of work. Being with for a long, long time. So much so that's kind of become me. Right. So I'm being asked to step into this new, like, new perceptions, but there's like this hanging kind of energy of allowing myself to come into a new identity and kind of really letting my past go instead of me just kind of like holding on to that. So I know there's a lot of mindset work I have to do. So I'm going to let my mind and body catch up, and I'm aware that it's going to take some time, but it's just like, oh, like I'm ready.
Will you tell me what that experience is like for you, that hanging feeling?
Like, it's like, so I would say if I were to go into like body, like somatically, I feel like my chest and my back is holding onto a weight.
Okay.
And it just feels like my mind doesn't want to turn on and become right, and creating like that innocence and that newness and that excitement and joy that I know is available to me if I start choosing that. um so it just kind of feels a bit still shut down, still a little bit kind of small and unsure.
Mhm.
um what else?
This
Just
is
less
great.
enthusiastic, less there's some resistance to, just leveling up on every area, right? Instead of coming up with excuses and making challenges seem bigger than what they are, because of how I'm experiencing myself right now.
Okay. The way you described the way you're experiencing yourself, you said it's this hanging is the way you started, but then you went on to tell us that your chest and your back are really tight. That's where it's somatically in your body, in your chest, right? And your back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that there's like this, the way you describe this shutdown, this smallness, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If we were to go back to that feeling in your chest and your back for a moment, can you stay with that tightness for a moment for me?
Can we use the word heaviness? Because it's not
Heaviness.
so tight, it's heavy, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Heaviness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely want to use what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that heaviness that you're feeling in your chest and your back, can you describe it to me?
um so I'm visual, so I'm gonna feel. I feel like it's more in the center. It's not so expanded out. I would say that it's gray in color. And it's almost like whatever's here is mirroring right at the back as well. So it's kind of like this. Maybe if we can have fun with this. So like I'm already choosing something right now, which is cool. Like a cloud. So it's as I'm actually witnessing it, it's kind of changing. So it went from like heavy with edges to like a little bit softer, like a cloud.
Okay, so it was edgy, but it's moving more towards like a cloud. And a cloud is
Hmm.
kind of like, I don't know, doesn't really have any real shape, right? It's kind of
Hmm.
just, would you take your hands for us and show us with your hands, like what is that cloud form like in your chest?
So
Like
it has like
from your chest
has
to your
like it's like the cute clouds.
cute clouds.
So the cloud has like little like circular edges, kind of like, when you're a kid and you draw a picture and you make like the cloud a certain
Mhm.
like, I don't know how to describe it at the moment, sorry.
No, you're doing such a great job. It has like I'm totally visualizing it right now. Are you guys visualizing it with her? It's like circular, curly on the edges shape, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. And you said it was heavy. And if we connect with it right now, that heavy, that cloud, is it, if it's in your hands, what's happening as you hold it?
Lovely. So instead of it being like heavy on the inside, it's almost like it's giving permission to externalize it, like I'm holding it. And as I'm holding it, it's actually becoming lighter.
Okay, it's becoming lighter the more you hold it.
Yeah. So not lighter necessarily in color, but lighter in density.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm noticing since you suggested that I hold it, well, in the back, because I haven't really done anything, it seems like it's still a darker gray. It's still inside. It's a little bit heavier. It's a little bit darker. So it's like maybe because I'm choosing to engage this, I'm not going to think. I'm just going to be. So I engaged it, and so therefore it's like it's maybe I've given it some permission or I've witnessed it.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
I think we're witnessing it together right now.
Thank you.
If you, if we let you shape shift into this cloud shape for a moment, what,
Like my whole body.
like if you
Can
were
I
the,
can I can I
I want
dance with
you to
it?
shape shift
I want
as
to dance with it.
perfect. I want you to start to dance with it.
It's almost like it, it wants to play now. Because like before, it's like it took on a new identity and a new energy. So it kind of felt like, oh, I kind of want to move with this now.
Okay, it wants to move. It wants to play. It's like it's moving back and forth, it looks like. Your shoulders
Yeah.
are kind of like going back and forth. Your head's kind of bobbing a little bit back and forth. Does it have a sound that's going along with it?
Mm. It could be a coincidence. I just heard wind outside, but I like to just stay with like my initial awareness was no. And then there's wind outside, and it's like, oh, maybe it wants to be a little bit of wind, and it's
Mhm.
choosing to move and change. So like a little bit of wind element picking up here.
A bit of wind element. Okay.
Mhm.
How does that wind sound?
I'm pretty sure you can't hear me.
Can you amplify it for us so we can hear you?
I'm gonna NLP this. Maybe
No.
that's all I got.
So you're perfect. No
Okay.
problem. It's kind of like, wind's kind of quiet in nature. So it's kind of this quiet. Is it a quiet sound?
Yeah, I would say that it's not like an unsure like a beginner sound. It's not, and it's not really aggressive like, really big stormy wind. It's kind of like I'm here, you
I'm
know?
here.
I'm here.
Okay. So the cloud is here. You're here. It's got a little bit of sound, a little bit of movement to it. Yeah. What happens if we stay with it just a little bit longer? Maybe keeping that cloud just in your hands for a moment. Maybe as we have, that's the front side, you said, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Just like kind of just being with it for a moment. I wonder what happens if we amplify it a bit.
Like just make it bigger.
Mhm.
So there was a moment where I'm choosing to communicate with this cloud, but I still really want to stay in the observer witness mode. Um,
Well, what's the
so
part of you that wants to communicate with it?
well, I feel like I really want to leave like my personality ego out of it at first because I feel like maybe I could do that after I just want to stay with the noticing first. And so
Okay.
as I'm noticing, it's like it's becoming bigger, but it's becoming lighter and softer in color and just I'm kind of allowing it to do its own thing without me like really interrupting it too much. So
Mm.
yeah, so it feels right now in this moment kind of like probably like out to here, and it's like I said, lighter, and there's like a little bit more texturing to it, like those little fluffy bumps or circular or whatever, and it's becoming a little more dynamic, I guess.
Okay. Stay with it. And so it's a little bit more dynamic, you said. It's got a little bit more, it's gotten a little bigger, correct? It's out to the edges a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you were to stay with it and go ahead and actually put your hands up as if, again, you're still holding it. What happens if we even amplify it more?
I'm feeling like it's unsure. It's okay right here.
Okay. Okay. So her body's communicating to us that it doesn't want to get any bigger. Like we've reached where it feels safe. But if we go any further, right, we might be stepping over what feels okay for her. And we never want to push our client beyond their boundary, right? So we just stay right where it's at.
Now, am I allowed to talk to you?
Of course.
So at this point, would we be kind of like saying, wow, it looks like you have some good boundaries, some nice self-inquiry, like you noticed and you're able to have that self-honesty that you didn't feel like you had to get bigger and bigger. Would that be something that you would notice or
Only if they,
feedback?
not necessarily, because they didn't say that to me.
Oh, okay.
So that's where our theories, right, start to come in. And I don't have a theory about this. Right
Okay.
now, at this point, all I know is that it's this big cloud. As we amplify it, it does get lighter. And it seems like it gets, the shape shifts a little bit. It moves a little bit. But in a full hour session, we're going to stay with this shape for a long time. Now, we don't have a full hour today, right? But
Yeah,
we're
of course.
right, we're gonna really get to know it. We're gonna stay with that sound. We might play around with the movement a bit more. And we're gonna get to know, what is this cloud? What is it trying to communicate? And so this is a perfect place to pause for a moment. Thank you, Sherry. So why am I asking her to amplify it? Because what lives in the body is being amplified. Our experience is always amplified in the body, especially what is not being witnessed. Okay. As we witness something, we want our clients to actually feel the full experience of it. When we bring it to their attention the first time, that is not almost ever what they truly are experiencing, their full expression of it, right? It's a version, but we want to get them into feeling the fullest expression that their body will let us. And sometimes they'll stop and say, nope, that's where I feel safe. And that's okay. We stop there and we just stay with it. But there's a couple of different directions I would probably take Sherry from here. Okay. So I would probably either have her start to, yeah, go ahead. Was there a question?
Me?
I don't know. I thought I heard something. Okay, maybe not.
Oh.
So there's a couple of different directions, right? We can, obviously, we would want to get to know the shape even more and where it's, what it's here in some ways, maybe to communicate with us. One of my favorite questions to ask my clients is, when you think about, like for Sherry, when she thinks about this cloud, and she thinks of the shape, and she thinks about it, where in her life does she like, where is this cloud-like energy in her life right now?
Sorry, I'm trying to I had to plug you in. So
No
I'm crooked
worries.
now.
No worries, Sherry. So I was saying there's different directions when we take this. We want to start to explore this cloud-like energy.
Right.
And what it's bringing up for her, not from here, but in her body. She said the backside, right, still felt pretty heavy. But the front side was starting to get a little bit lighter. as we brought it out. What I might do is have her pause for a moment and go to the backside and say, okay, Sherry, let's take the backside and put it in your hands and notice what happened. And then we might just look at the two sides and see what's happening. But again, there's no theory here. I'm just getting to know Sherry's experience as a human.
And that would be challenging for me.
And it is for most of us because we have all these theories like, oh, a cloud is a boundary for some people, but maybe a cloud reminds you of being a child and being playful. You did say something about being playful.
So I personally, just for my own awareness, is that I didn't feel like the cloud was actually a boundary. It was that I was able to acknowledge that I wanted to stay where I was at.
Oh, yes, yes. And
Like
that,
that level of self-awareness, right? Because some people might want
yes,
to people please or think the cloud should
yes,
look a certain way. But it was the
yes.
fact that I was able to say, you know what? I'm
And
good.
yes, and that yes, Sherry, is
Okay.
okay to say
Okay.
yes. Oh, I like depending, you have to know your client, right? But if
Right.
your client is someone who's coming to you and has a lot of people pleasing tendencies, 100%, then you want to be like, wow, Sherry, I am so proud of you right now for
Right.
honoring
Put
your
it in
own
context,
space.
but
You
still
got to know the
try to
context,
keep it as somatic as possible.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, but absolutely. I mean, if you've been working with someone for several sessions or you know them, right, because you've had, them in your class all the time, or depending on the different ways that we actually work with people, you have different information going in. I knew nothing about Sherry. All I know is that she had this heaviness, she said. And I wanted her to sit and view and observe and hold space for her heaviness, not make it wrong, right? Not say that there's maybe nothing wrong with this heavy. The heaviness is here. It's got wisdom in it. It's got medicine, I believe in it. But if we right away go in with the idea that heaviness is a bad thing, right? Then we're going to go ahead and project onto our client an idea. Do you see that? Whereas I don't know if heaviness is good or bad. I want Sherry's going to help me understand this heaviness. So one of the questions I might have gone with Sherry is, where do you need more of this in your life? Where do you need more of this cloud-like energy that's in your hand in your life? So often I'm asking, not where do we need to get rid of? What do we not need to separate away from? But this that's showing up in the body, where does it need integration? Does that make sense? So for you, Sherry, one thing you might want to explore is but where is this cloud-like energy? Let me ask you this question in a different way. What does that bring up for you when we think of this cloud-like energy?
I didn't realize I muted. Um, so to be honest, I'm a little bit of a seasoned meditator. So for me to go into neutrality and to just see it as it it was fairly simple for me. But I think for me, I think just acknowledging it and giving permission to play with a part of myself differently and engaging my imagination and my creativity was really helpful. And I think just being playful, even just with another human being for me is helpful. It's like, oh, and I didn't think it was going to be a cloud. I'm like, how cool. Like it turned into like this looming cloud, you know? Like,
Okay, so this is Sherry's medicine. She just told us being able to be creative and playful is what she's craving more of, because she just told us that. Did you guys hear it? Being able to witness it and be able to be like, wow, and expect it to be like, like your body is right now saying, I want to be able to be more creative, more playful.
yeah, like if I could just hang out and do this all day with somebody, and just be playful would be really great.
Yeah.
But this is right up my alley. Somatic, imagination, and just being curious and playful with another human being. I think it's very expansive for me.
Do you feel like you could use more of that right now in your life?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I agree. Just being able to hang out with people and kind of like, and not always is everyone like sometimes people, they'll get into it and let's say could have gone a totally different way, right? Not
Absolutely.
Sherry, someone else, right? Could have said, oh, it's this big, heavy cloud. And when I said amplify it, they're like, oh, it's getting heavier and heavier. And I know it because I did this, it wasn't a cloud, it was something else the other day. And it got so heavy, their shoulders came forward. And I'm like, just go bigger with it. And they ended up in a fetal position.
Yeah.
And then we explored from there. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying we don't know. We just have to stay open. We have to follow their intelligence.
So now are you asking questions to see where their internal intuitive self wants to go? Do we just give them permission to be there? That's as far as they want to go. And are we giving them options? Like what would that feel like if we did this? Is that kind of like what
We're not leading them.
no leading? Okay.
No leading, but we are, and that's one of the things we talk about in the program, but how do you do it where you're not leading and they're leading? Because this is client led.
Okay, yep. Makes sense.
And that's really powerful because when it's client led and it comes from them, it's how I think people have more lasting transformations
Well,
because
it's
it's
coming from their
coming,
autonomy. Yeah.
right, it's coming
Yeah.
from their internal wisdom because it's the one thing we're all craving, right? Is deep down, we want to trust ourselves. We really do, but it's hard. We haven't been taught, we haven't been raised that way. So we're supporting the ability for people to create that deep internal self-trust.
So if we're working with somebody, it's almost like it's just like encouraging their choices because they actually if they want to remain there, then I guess that's, like, okay, this is what we're
That's
doing.
right.
This is,
That's right.
yeah. Okay.
It's not believing that like if my client wants to get into a fetal position and stay down there, it's not my job to tell their body, come on, get up and be productive. No, that would have not been their medicine.
So
Now, eventually I do have to get them out of that fetal position, right? And
okay.
come back down. And that's where we then have other tools. Like I might then be like, okay, we're going to start to come out of this in a safe way, right? We'll communicate. Like when I say communicate, that's where the shape shifting comes in. We might talk to that version down there, right? We'll sometimes be like, okay, let's pause for a moment, come have a seat, open your eyes, and we might transition into
A
okay,
crawl
little
or
role playing or different things where we're
okay.
actually engaging that. So no, we're not going to leave someone done. Bye, I got to go home. Have a great day. Stay in fetal position as long as you're no. Right. And then we might do some breath work if someone, let's say they are in that fetal position, and let's say that fetal position is the only place they feel safe, right? That was a client of mine. Like it
So there's
was
a lot of permission. Do we have permission to kind of move out of this? Do we have permission to activate a bit or like so more permission until they kind of okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's the unshaming process. Huge part of it. Not the whole piece, but a huge part of it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for your great questions.
Yeah, great. Loved it.
Yeah. I hope that as you guys were witnessing, that you could see that a huge part of what I was doing is witnessing Sherry's experience, right? Just witnessing where she was at, what she was saying to me. I was taking some notes. I do take notes so I can actually remember what the words my clients are saying. Sometimes I don't always get it exactly right. Sometimes if the person's a very energetic, or maybe that's not even the right word, but expression, like using the arms, like I talk a lot with my hands, as they're with the sensation, if they're putting it in their hands, right? Or, oh, that's okay, Talia. Good to see you, sweetie. Whatever they're doing, I'm gonna witness what they're doing with their hands. I might even be like, oh, I see that your hands are closing. And I see that your hands are opening, or I see this getting bigger and smaller. All of that is part of that witnessing phase. That is very powerful for our clients. The integration phase is where we will often start to ask the questions beyond understanding their experience. The questions for integration are more about, where do we want to incorporate more of this? Like, if this part has been broken off, right? What does this part want to say, right? We have different questions we ask to integrate whatever we discover as we're accessing, communicating, I like to say, with the body. All right. So I am out of time. I do try to like stay true. If I say it's going to be like 60 minutes, stay 60 minutes. I'm epically fail at it most times. I am human. But I hope that watching that, observing that, seeing how it is a slow, very careful process. And we're really spending a lot of time watching our client and leaning and feeling into the feedback that they are giving us to help guide us. It is client-led, meaning that we are not coming in with any ideas, right? They are the ones that are going to actually have all the answers. We all have all the answers within us, guys. We just sometimes need support in accessing them. So if this work is speaking to you, if you're like, oh my God, I want to know more, I want to dive in deeper, that's exactly what is starting March 16th. It is a 3-month, 100-hour Yoga Alliance certification. It is also part of a 300-hour. So if anyone is a yoga teacher and they're wanting to get a 300-hour, that is a potential option long-term. But the 100 hours is 100% virtual. We meet 3 Sundays all day long. We'll be learning tools, practicing tools, understanding some of the science behind what goes on in the nervous system and different things in the body. And then we will practice Fridays at 1:30 p.m. Eastern with your peers, getting feedback, refining, and getting in the reps to feel confident to be able to do this with clients. It is the only way. It's like driving a car, guys. You could read a manual, but if you don't do it, right? The car, you can't just read a manual and then get in a car and expect to be able to like fly down the road, right? You got to actually get in the car and practice. And that's what we do here. It's all embodiment. I'm not one of those people that's like, let's study a book. And from that, let's actually experience it ourselves. Because once we've experienced the different phases, the different steps, the different techniques, the different tools in our own body, it's so much easier to be able to guide others through the process. So if this is something that you are interested in, if this is something that's calling to you, I want to invite you today to apply. Heidi, I believe Heidi is already in our program, so that's amazing. I'm so excited to have her. I have several ladies already who've signed up. You do not have to be a woman if you're listening to this in the replay. Just so far, it is a group of women at this point. If you have any questions, I can stay on for just a few minutes and answer them. And if not, I hope you have a wonderful, fantastic rest of your day.
May I?
Yes, of course. And I'm going to actually, let me drop the link if you are interested in applying. I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat. Yes, questions, any?
So I just want to make sure I heard you right, because initially I heard you say 300 hours and then I heard you say 100 hours. Sorry.
Yes. So the somatic piece is 100 hours.
Okay.
I offer a 300-hour yoga certification, and it is mostly destination. So you would not have to live in Atlanta if you wanted to do the other 200.
No, I hear
Yeah.
it now. So 100
Yeah.
somatic hour. Okay.
Yeah. So the somatic part is 100 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you say a price for that, or?
No. Oh, I did not tell you guys the price. So the certification is $2,500 for the 3 months. There are payment plans. There was an early bird because you guys stayed till the very end. I'll be extra generous, even though, oh, someone just joined now. They're an hour late, but that's okay. I'll let them pop in and just say hi. I'll still honor it today, and it was $500 off. So if you're interested, apply today. I'll still honor it for you, even though technically it ended like a week or two ago. Just because you guys stayed till the very end, and I think that's amazing because not a lot of people do that. Katie, welcome. And we're just finishing up. I think maybe time difference changes. Any other questions? Sherry, thank you again so much for being vulnerable and being willing to play along.
No problem. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it's really fun. Any other questions?
One more.
Yeah,
So-
I
so
love it. I
how-
mean, someone's got to talk, right?
So I'm Canadian and I actually just lost my job Friday, so I will not be able to afford this. But do you run it a couple times a year or?
I run it twice a year. So there
Okay.
will be a second one, probably around October. I don't do it in the summer because summers, I tried once and that was not,
No, yeah, I
no,
get it.
people just are on vacation and it's, yeah.
Okay.
I do have a scholarship available if anyone's interested in that form. It does have some things that go along with it, but if anybody wants it, just message me and I'll send it to you. It's
Okay,
not a
thank you.
full ride though. I'll be fully honest.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry you lost your job, but maybe it's sometimes I say, I always say that sometimes it's an opportunity to step into what our true dharma is.
I'm sure it is. It's a mixed bag
Hard
right
though
now.
in the moment.
It's
I
a
get
mixed
it.
bag. It's a mixed bag right now. Economy's
sure.
it's just a crazy time. So
I'm sure.
yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. All right, ladies. Well, if we have no more questions, I am going to pop off. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I know you all are now on my email list. Some of you are even get my text messages. So I am very good about getting back to people really quickly. So if you'd like to apply or if you have some questions or any of that such, or you just want to say, hey, don't be a stranger. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your afternoon. And hopefully I will see you all someday soon again.